Στο κολέγιο Ιησούς του Πανεπιστημίου της Οξφόρδης, ο Βρετανός καθηγητής Armand D'Angour ανακαλύπτει, μελετάει και διδάσκει την αρχαία ελληνική μουσική. Είναι παντρεμένος με την ελληνικής καταγωγής Κάρεν Τσικλητήρα, απόγονη του θρυλικού Έλληνα Ολυμπιονίκη Κώστα Τσικλητήρα. Ρώτησα τον καθηγητή D'Angour τι ήταν αυτό που τον επηρέασε να γίνει μελετητής της αρχαίας ελληνικής μουσικής.
What people don't understand is that all the great poetry that we classicists study from ancient Greece, from Homer through to the lyric age, Sappho, Alcaeus, Pindar, Simonides, and then the great Greek tragedians, Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, and the comedian Aristophanes. All of this was sung music, either entirely or partly. So the choruses of ancient tragedy was a chorus singing music and dancing. It was ancient tragedy was more like a musical than a play, and all the poetry was sung to music, sung to melody. We know the rhythms because we have the meter of ancient Greek, and if you understand ancient meters, which are complex but actually understandable if you study them, then you have a rhythmical system. And we also know something about the melodies because ancient Greek was a naturally melodic language, so the voice went up and down, where we now have this monotoniko in Greek. It was originally a pitch change. They said kalos, the voice rising on the second part, agatos, and we're told by an ancient grammarian, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, that the number of tones that it rose was around 1/5, ba, kalos. We have some documents with a notation, because this is the other thing people don't understand. There is some notated music. And to me, this is tremendously exciting. I think anybody who discovers that there is a notated music from ancient Greece, not from ancient Rome, by the way, but from ancient Greece, they invented a system around the 5th century BC, then you want to know, well, what sort of music did they sing to accompany themselves, whether it was Homer or Sappho or later music. So what we have are documents which have an actual notation. Some of them are on papyrus. So one of the most important papyri is in Vienna, and that is a small scrap of papyrus on which we have what would be the equivalent of a few bars of music with words from Euripides' play Orestes. Orestes, which was performed in 408 BC. So you could say the earliest music we have goes back to the 5th century, the earliest notated music. Other documents are on stone, and they're very useful because obviously stone documents don't deteriorate, so they're really quite complete documents. In Delphi, for example, the famous Delphic paeans, as they're called, these hymns, and there's an amazing document which is a stone column called the Song of Sikilos, and that's in Copenhagen. So documents are all around the world, but what these documents essentially are Greek texts of Greek poetry, and above these texts there are these little signs which tell us what the melody was. The words tell us what the rhythm was, the signs tell us what the melody was. In fact, there were two sets of notation. There was one for instruments and one for voice. The vocal notation is very simple. It's the alphabet, and the higher in the alphabet, the higher the pitch. So alpha is much higher than gamma or much higher than mu. And we can read it as if they were notes on a modern stave.
Do we know the instruments they used at that period?
Yes, so we know a lot about the instruments, we know a lot about the theory, because we have a lot of texts which tell us about these things, but we also have vase paintings which show us, so we can reconstruct from a vase an ancient kithara, the equivalent to the modern guitar. So the ancient lyric poets would sing, accompany themselves by strumming their kithara or lyra. Most important instrument probably for ancient 5th century BC was this double pipe. the aulos. And the aulos was an important instrument for celebrations, for Greek tragedy. So the 15 members of the chorus would sing and dance accompanied by this double pipe. And it took a lot of skill, and we have luckily some relics of ancient pipes, something like 20, of which a very complete relic survives in the Louvre. And this has now been subjected to careful analysis by computer, and we have reconstructed using modern materials, these ancient pipes with very precise holes and so on. So we can produce the sound.
Is there any continuity with today's Greek music?
Of course there's a continuity, but it's been so influenced by different things over, really nearly 2,000 years. And the other thing I would say, and it's very important for my research and my project, is that people don't think there's just one kind of music in ancient Greece. There was music for weddings, there was music for parties, there was different kinds of music. There were hundreds of different kinds of music. What we have is a tiny, tiny proportion of a few relatively formal or informal kinds of music. So we have the largest examples we have are these hymns. So it's semi-religious, or actually religious music from the ancient world. We have a stone column, which was found in Turkey in the 1870s, with a song called the Song of Sekilos, or Sikilos. And it's just 4 lines, and it's a very simple little song. Everybody knows it, probably, who studies Greek music. You can hear it on YouTube, you can hear people singing it. Osonzis phenu miden holosilipu prosoligon estitozin totelos okronos apeti. Now you hear this music. It's 2nd century AD. And yet it sounds to us quite familiar. Meter is something with which I'm particularly interested because I think it's taught very badly. Everybody thinks, they call it the dactylic hexameter, so we know this is the meter of Homer. It sounds already, the name sounds like a dinosaur, a pterodactyl. But actually dactylic hexameter is very simple. The dactyl, da, 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 long, short, short. 6 of those, da 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 da, and you have a rhythm, which ancient the beginning of Homer's Iliad, me nina eidetea pele adio akileios. This is the basic rhythm, and it goes all the way through. So once you have the rhythm, you then obviously have to think about what was the right tempo and to what melody, but you have already a basis for music. Rhythm is central to music.
You have also studied Sappho poems.
Yes, well, Sappho was, great for many centuries in ancient Greece. She was they called her the 10th muse because her poetry was so moving. And there's a wonderful story from Aelianos, much later Christian writer, and he tells the story of Solon of Athens, the Solon, the statesman and poet who heard his nephew singing a song of Sappho. And he said to him, "Teach me this song so that I can learn it and die." It's such a wonderful song that I want, once I've learnt it, I can die, he said.
Can you quote your favorite poem by Sappho?
Yes, so one of the great love poems of all time is Sappho, what we call Sappho 31, where Sappho is looking at perhaps a married couple and saying, I envy or I think that man fortunate who is sitting opposite you, the woman. And she's really talking about the woman. She says, because when I see you, she says, everything fails. My voice fails, my ears fail, my eyes fail. I become dazed, presumably by the woman's beauty and the sound of her voice. And so this poem in Greek, and of course the pronunciation, as we understand they pronounced it, it goes, Painetai moi kenos isos te oisin emmenaner, otis enantios to isdane, kai plaseon adiu ponai sasupakue. So that man seems to me equal to a god who sits opposite you and bends his head to listen to your sweet voice.
Το τέλος ο χρόνος